Hello. This is our admission application app for Capstone. I'm Rauschenburger, and with me is Becca Dura as well as Karl. And our you're doing admission application for Drake admission. Uh, we're doing this to help with the admissions process for enrolled students as they have tours and are uh, going to Drake's campus for tours. Um, the three primary users are admitted tour guides and admissions officers, and each of those three different process, as well as having admission. Uh, admitted students will have access to the messaging that supports the tour guides, as well as admissions officers, as well as having a map at full time of Drake's campus and the surrounding Drake neighborhood, as well as information on all of the Drake's campus buildings. Tour guides will have their schedules with when they have tours scheduled with the messaging information with each of the people that they have tours with. And then admissions officers have all of the above, along with the ability to add and remove tour guides.
All right, so next we're going to talk a little bit about the database. And our database is set up on Firebase in Cloud Firestore, which is a NoSQL database. And that just means that instead of having different tables with variables in them, we have a collection for students, tour guides, and admissions counselors, as well as collections to display the student schedules while they're visiting and match up students to tour guides and admissions counselors. And then within each of these collections, there's a different document. So as you can see right here in the students collection, there's a document for me as the student, and then there's another student in here, and it's the same thing for all of these. And the reason that we ended up using Cloud Firestore is because it's easy to integrate into the React Native framework that we use to create our app. And it allows for you to better view as well as add data into the database. And then it also has different areas where you can authenticate the users to help them log in and out, as well as create different chat groups through the users. Now we're going to look at the actual app. And this is our sign-in screen. And then once we enter in the email and the password, it goes to Google Database where it authenticates that user, and that's how it logs you in and shows you the screens that you're supposed to see depending on whether you're a student, a tour guide, or an admissions counselor. So now Carl's going to talk a little bit more about the app here.
Yeah, so on this app, you can log in, and we'll show you that, or Becca will do that while I'll talk a little bit more. And the reason why we decided to do React, as she had said, is it goes really well with Firebase, and it can connect everything together, as well as React works on Android, iOS, and the internet. So we only had to do one app, and we could technically move everything over between iOS and Android, which we thought would be ideal for coding an app. And so now you see Becca just logged in, and she used our actual credentials, which are in our database. And here's our welcome page. And you can then go to the schedule, which is the other tab over there. And that's drawing directly from our database, and then it comes in. And so that would be Becca's schedule for that next day that she was coming in. And you can see everything is all separated out in a list. And then if you go over to the other tab, it's our messages tab. And our messages tab, at the moment, it's just a UI library. So it just has a list of messages. And so it's really just mocking it up. But in the next week, we're trying to figure out how to get our our Google Firebase set up with this so that we can have conversations between the tour guides as well as the students. And I'm trying to think what also we can log out. So you can, when you log out, it will log out the users, and they will have to log back in again. I'll let Becca talk a little bit more.
And so then now we just logged in as a student, and in our database, Carl is actually listed as a tour guide. So we can also show you real quick what it looks like for a tour guide. So when you log in, you can see it's pretty much the same thing on the home page and the messaging page, but the schedule will instead show all the students that you're giving tours to in the future, and it'll show them out as a list if you have more than one person assigned to you. Obviously right here, Carl only has one person assigned. And then one more thing worth noting, all of these links down here do actually take you to the web page. It's probably not going to work very well on this emulator just because it takes a while to go to different websites. But so as you can see, it's starting to go up. And one more thing worth noting is when you're logging in as a user, if your email and password aren't in the database, you're not going to be able to log in, meaning that it's just going to keep you on that login screen. And then it also will show up an alert saying that your username and password are invalid. And again, all of these credentials are stored in Firebase and the passwords are stored securely, so not anyone can see them.
Yeah. And so again, and like I said before, one of the reasons why we're using React is so we can bring it onto other devices, and you don't necessarily have to learn a whole new framework or a whole new coding language to do it. And we're using, since none of us have Macs, we're using Android Studio, and so that's why we have IntelliJ as our editor, because it connects really well with the Android emulator. Since they're both JetBrains products, they connect really well together. And eventually in the future, if a project like this, or if anyone wanted to bring this project into fruition, they could take our code, use the code for both iOS and Android. And that was kind of the whole idea of it, having it be very flexible. It's a very flexible framework going forward. Do we have anything else to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
That sounds good to me.
Thank you for listening to us.